You official on the Wooden and Charleston White team. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm okay with being a snitch. But you is a snitch, too.
His management team's trying to figure out, yo, they're fighting for their lives right now, man. Yo, who's a snitch? Who's not a snitch? It's a snitch off.
I ain't happy about it. I'm mad about it. Because I've been knowing this the whole fucking time. And I didn't even say nothing. I sat right here and still let the blame be on me. Because of the love I had for you. But when y'all niggas come out of jail and y'all brought that stupid stuff out of here, I left that stupid stuff in jail. Y'all brought that stupid stuff out here.
Young Thug probably thought cracking a few jokes and rambling his way through would win people over. He probably believed his charm, that loose way of talking, would make folks forget the rumors and push aside the controversy, but he couldn't have been more wrong. Not only did fans start clowning him immediately, but now other rappers are piling on too. It's like every single day his credibility takes another hit, and instead of the comeback he might have been hoping for, things just keep getting worse. At this point, Thug is probably regretting not just laying low after coming home, because since he's been back, it feels like every single day there's a new leak, a new audio clip, a new piece of footage, a new something that chips away at what he once stood for in the rap game. And the one piece of evidence that keeps haunting him the hardest is that infamous 2-hour interrogation tape from 2015. That tape has become the smoking gun, the piece everybody points to whenever they accuse him of snitching. From the very start, the whole thing just looked bad, real bad. As soon as the interrogation started, Thug refused to even initial his rights. That might sound small, but to people watching, it was like he didn't want there to be any trace that he was in that room having that conversation. He wanted zero proof tied to his name. Then he flat out told detectives that he'd say whatever they wanted as long as nobody outside ever found out. That one line alone set the tone for everything that followed. It showed he already knew how damaging it would look if the public ever heard him in that situation. And just like he promised, once that tape started rolling, Thug didn't hold back. He started talking heavy. He tossed Pee Wee Roscoe right under the bus, saying Roscoe was running around with Wayne's people and committing crimes every single day. That's not just small talk. That's pointing directly at another man's criminal activities, handing detectives a play-by-play of someone else's business. And that right there is the kind of thing fans and fellow rappers don't let go. But Thug didn't stop with Roscoe. He laid out a whole storyline about the money beef between Lil Wayne and Birdman, explaining how Birdman was blocking Wayne's album and refusing to pay him what he was owed. According to Thug, Birdman was lying about the reasons, and Wayne was left shortchanged, stuck in limbo. Thug even dragged Wayne's own lyrics into the mix. He quoted that bar where Wayne raps, "Birdman is an army, I'm a one-man army, and if that dude coming for me, I'm going out like Tony." Using Wayne's own words to back up his claims made the whole thing even wilder. And then came the biggest bomb of all. Thug hinted that Pee Wee Roscoe was the one who actually shot up Wayne's tour bus. The crazy part? Roscoe later got 10 years for that exact case. So now, when fans look back at the tape, they can't ignore how neatly Thug's words lined up with what went down in real life. For many people, that was all the confirmation they needed. Later in the interrogation, when the spotlight shifted to YSL, Thug tried brushing it off, laughing like it was nothing more than a clothing line. He said YSL stood for Young Stone Life or Young Successful Living, trying to make it sound like it was about positivity and fashion, not street life. But looking back now, that defense aged horribly, because years later, in his own RICO case, Thug ended up pleading guilty to being tied to a criminal street gang. That's a straight up contradiction, and it makes his just a clothing brand defense sound almost laughable. By the end of the tape, Thug wouldn't even take the officer's business card. It was like he realized just how bad the optics were, but by then, the damage was already done. When the clip finally leaked years later and went viral online, social media didn't hesitate. They branded him a rat instantly. Thug tried scrambling for damage control. He denied snitching, claimed the video was useless since prosecutors never used it in court. His defense was basically, if they didn't use it, then it don't count as cooperating. He even jumped on Twitter firing off defensive posts. In one, he claimed, "Bashing me is only going to mess the rap community up more. I'm the glue to this fake game." But no matter how hard he tried to spin it, the denials just didn't stick. And the timing couldn't have been worse, because while he was fighting off the Rat label, even more leaks kept dropping. Each new clip stacked the deck heavier against him, and each one made fans side-eye him harder. What really has people heated is the giant hypocrisy, because when it came to Gunna, Thug had no problem going nuclear. Remember when Gunna took that Alfred plea deal in court? He admitted that YSL was a gang and that he knew members or associates who had committed crimes to further it. For Thug, that was crossing the line. He went hard on Gunna, even disowning him publicly. On Twitter, he posted, "Gunna, stop acting like we're friends on the internet. I don't know you, my guy." That was bold at the time, and people praised Thug for standing firm. But with these tapes resurfacing, fans are calling him out heavy for not practicing what he preached. Because the truth is, Thug ended up taking a plea too. Gunna's Alfred plea admitted the gang existed, but avoided personal guilt. Thug's plea, a straight-up guilty plea in his RICO case, acknowledging his own ties to gang activity. So now fans are flipping the script. As one source put it, either Gunna is a snitch, and by Thug standards, Thug is an even bigger snitch, or neither of them are snitches. Basically, Thug boxed himself into his own hypocrisy, and there's no easy way out. And let's not forget the infamous "yes ma'am" moment. When Gunna said those two words in court, the clip went viral. Thug and others clowned him non-stop, using it as proof that he folded under pressure. But now people are asking the real question, that is, what about Thug's own 2-hour interrogation tape? Gunna's "yes ma'am" looks tiny compared to Thug sitting there, name-dropping Birdman, Wayne, and Roscoe, laying out details like he was reading from a script. One Reddit user broke it down perfectly, saying Gunna never told on nobody. What he said couldn't even be used against anyone. He secured his way out of a snitching situation, but because they filmed it and leaked it, people ran with the tag. But Thug is in there telling, giving names, giving stories. That's real rat activities. And it's not just random fans online piling on anymore. Even other rappers and industry figures are chiming in. One name that's been tied to this mess is Kendrick Lamar. In yet another leaked audio, Thug could be heard venting about how he tried to lock in a Kendrick feature for his 2023 album Business is Business and got shut down cold. He sounded bitter too, complaining, "These dudes too big. Like, I ain't doing no features." Why? Why wouldn't you want to do a feature for a superstar? That frustration added more fuel to the fire. But Thug didn't stop there. He fried back, claiming Kendrick brushed off not just him, but also Lil Durk and Lil Baby when they tried to reach out. In Thug's version of the story, Kendrick's refusal wasn't about music, it was pure ego. He painted Kendrick as someone holding himself above the rest of the rap game instead of embracing the culture and building with peers. In the leaked call, Thug snapped, "You supposed to be a dude blessing it." Then he went even further, saying that's exactly why Kendrick would never be bigger than Drake ever in life. Thug used Drake, who he's worked with countless times, as his example of what a superstar should be: collaborative, giving, always open to working with others, while framing Kendrick as the opposite: too self-contained, too stingy with features, too caught up in his own bubble. Thug even argued that Kendrick's refusal to work with him was part of why Kendrick doesn't have as strong a grip on certain corners of the culture, especially on the East Coast streets. According to Thug, fans there don't fully connect with Kendrick because he doesn't move with the community the way other rappers do. And then Thug went for another jab, this time at Kendrick's cousin, Baby Keem. He downplayed Keem's talent, saying Kendrick was wasting his cosign on family instead of lifting up heavyweights like himself, Durk, or Lil Baby. But here's the problem. That whole rant backfired in a huge way. Most people didn't see confidence. They saw entitlement. They saw someone bitter because he didn't get what he wanted, someone trying to drag down others to mask his own issues. Instead of making Kendrick look bad, the rant made Thug look insecure and out of touch with the very culture he was calling out. Young Thug wanted to come back strong, but with every leak, every defensive tweet, and every bitter rant, he's only making things worse. Instead of the street credibility he built his name on, all people see now are contradictions, hypocrisies, and excuses. Fans wasted no time pointing out the obvious. Kendrick doesn't owe Young Thug or anybody else a feature. point blank, period. And when it comes to Baby Keem, that's literally his blood cousin. Of course, Kendrick is going to put family first. Whether Keem is big enough in Thug's eyes or not doesn't even matter. That's loyalty. And Kendrick has always been a family first type of guy, no matter what anyone else in the industry thinks. But here's the wild part. Looking back, it seems like Kendrick might have already addressed this exact tension in his music long before anyone even realized Thug had a problem with him. On Squabble Up, Kendrick said, "Pipe down, young in, these some whole other politics, beef with him and some beef in him, that's a lot of beef in him." Then later in the same verse he adds, "Tell me why the F you dudes rap if it's fictional. Tell me why the dudes fed if you criminal. A doc, can I get a drop?" I'm like, nah. That's Kendrick's style. He doesn't waste his time addressing rappers in interviews or going on long social media rants. He lets the music speak. And for fans, those bars hit way different now in hindsight. Like maybe he already saw the writing on the wall. Maybe he knew there were people in the game trying to test his loyalty, trying to drag him into politics he didn't want any part of. But it wasn't just Kendrick hinting at things. Enter 50 Cent. And if there's one thing everybody knows by now, it's this. When drama shakes up hip-hop, 50 is never going to sit quietly on the sidelines. That man lives for these moments. As soon as chatter around Thug's interrogation tape started heating up, 50 wasted no time. He jumped on Instagram with one of his signature cryptic posts. He uploaded a clip of a man dancing in the rain to the Dramatics classic, but it was the caption that lit everything on fire. "This how you gotta move in the streets now, cause these dudes telling, be careful now." He didn't even have to say Thug's name outright. The timing was way too sharp to ignore. This was just hours after the interrogation footage hit the internet. Fans instantly connected the dots, and once they did, that post went viral. And let's not forget, this wasn't even 50's first time speaking on the YSL mess. Back in 2023, when the RICO case was still fresh, 50 explained why he had purposely distanced himself from anything tied to gangs. He made it crystal clear the law isn't just chasing mafia families anymore. They're coming for rappers who try to juggle the streets and the music business at the same time. In his eyes, guys like Thug were basically putting giant red targets on their own backs. And truly, a lot of people agreed with 50's stance. They said if YSL hadn't been operating so much like a gang, there never would have been a RICO case in the first place. And without that case, none of this snitching drama would even exist. But of course, you can't have a snitching conversation in hip-hop without 6ix9ine popping up. If there's one rapper guaranteed to insert himself into this conversation, it's him, the most infamous snitch in modern hip-hop. And unlike anybody else, he leans into it. He owns the label completely. So when Thug's leaks dropped, 6ix9ine wasted zero time blasting him. He went straight for the hypocrisy angle, calling out how the industry is handling Thug way different than it handled him. He said the goalposts were moving. Back when he got locked up, rappers who weren't even tied to his gang lined up to bash him, swearing they'd never work with a rat. But now with Thug, suddenly it's excuses, silence, or straight up deflections coming from some of those same voices. According to 6ix9ine, the energy just doesn't match, and he wasn't about to let that slide. He even downplayed Thug's entire situation, saying it was nothing compared to his own federal RICO case. 6ix9ine mocked him hard, saying, "Stop giving this dude applause. Stop applauding this dude for taking a plea in the state. Everybody took a plea in the state. That ain't no win. You got 20 years probation, dude. That ain't no win. You lost." And the crazy part, a lot of people actually agreed with him. That's when you know things are really bad for Thug, when people start nodding along with 6ix9ine of all people. But the criticism didn't stop there. YSL Mondo, someone who was actually close to the inner circle, jumped in, and his words cut way deeper than anything coming from 6ix9ine. According to Mondo, Thug's downfall didn't start with these leaks. It started the moment he came home after beating that first RICO case. Instead of laying low and staying humble, Mondo said Thug came out running his mouth. He clowned Gunna, called other people rats, and acted like he was the ultimate anti-snitch, when deep down, he already knew he had skeletons of his own. And to Mondo, this is straight up karma. Thug tried to paint himself as the biggest anti-snitch in the game, only to get exposed for doing the very thing he accused others of. Now that the truth is out, it's come back to bite him hard. Mondo even called out Pee Wee Roscoe, saying Roscoe was basically brainwashed by Thug. This came after Roscoe hopped on IG Live defending him, claiming that in his eyes, a rat is only someone who cuts a deal with the government once they're already guilty. By that definition, Roscoe argued Thug wasn't snitching, but most people weren't buying it. That kind of defense sounded like twisted logic, especially since Roscoe himself had to sit down and do a 10-year stretch because of the same case Thug spoke on. To outsiders, it just looked like blind loyalty. Others weren't nearly as forgiving. Whack 100 and Munchie B, two dudes known for never sugarcoating anything, flat out said Thug was snitching, period. No fancy explanations, no excuses. Their stance was simple. The second you sit in front of cops and start talking about someone else's crimes, dropping hints, naming names, you're telling. And then there's YSL Woody, the so-called star witness in the RICO case. Even he came out swinging at Thug, calling him a snitch and saying he now belonged to the rat community. Woody didn't stop there. He even threw out a warning to Lil Baby and 21 Savage, telling them to keep their distance from Thug because if Thug went down, he'd drag them with him. And sure enough, not long after that, fans noticed 21 Savage had unfollowed Thug on Instagram. Many took that as proof he was taking Woody's warning seriously. While Woody was out here playing warning siren, Charleston White was busy playing cheerleader for Thug's downfall. Now Charleston isn't even a rapper, but he's built his entire brand on stirring the pot. And when it came to Thug, he was in rare form. He went on one of his trademark tirades, tearing into Thug's hypocrisy with Gunna and making the situation even louder. Charleston even declared he'd personally destroy Thug to the point he'd never rap again.
But y'all just bear with me. I'm finna destroy Young Thug. He will not be able to rap no more. Woody, be quiet. Rollo, you know they wrong for how they did you. Lil Baby, you might as well stop hanging with Thug. Gunna, don't talk. Just stay back. Let me get this. I got y'all. Can't nobody beat me. I'm finna destroy. Swear to God. Thanks. Come.
If there was anyone flat out happy about Thug's collapse, it was definitely Charleston White. But the backlash didn't stop there. Another leaked phone call surfaced, this time with Thug dissing Lil Durk. He said, "I already done too much for you, man. Watch out." This came after Durk refused to clear a verse for Thug's album. That move instantly sparked a reaction from Durk's crew, who wasted no time clowning Thug online. And to make things worse, an old Durk lyric resurfaced. "Rappers goofy, stains pay me for a song, don't clear the verse." Now fans are connecting the dots, saying that bar was about Thug all along. At this point, the criticism of Thug isn't even just about the snitching tape anymore. People are painting him as a full-blown narcissist, someone who twists words, lies on the fly, contradicts himself whenever it benefits him, and lashes out at anyone who doesn't fall in line. Whenever Thug sees other people shining, he comes off bitter, jealous, and entitled. And now there's a growing belief that his behavior actually fractured what used to be a united rap scene. For over a decade, Atlanta dominated hip-hop as the strongest force in the game. But now, people are accusing Thug of single-handedly breaking that unity with his ego and antics. The craziest twist is while Thug was busy trying to sabotage Gunna's reputation, Gunna is the one winning. His album dropped and pulled solid numbers with critics and fans rallying behind him. Some are even saying Gunna's project outsold Thug's Business is Business naturally, while Thug's project was allegedly boosted by paid streams. The tide is shifting. Gunna's image is slowly being rebuilt, while Thug's keep sinking deeper. People are even comparing Thug's downfall to Meek Mill's situation. Remember when Meek went way too hard against 6ix9ine? He let the snitching narrative overshadow his music, and it ended up damaging his brand more than helping it. Fans are saying Thug is making the same exact mistake, obsessing over who's a rat instead of giving people the music they actually want. The culture is calling it out loud and clear. If Thug wants to recover, he's got to drop the snitch narrative, squash the beef with Gunna, and lock back in with the music. But right now, instead of building bridges, Thug just looks like a bitter man burning them all down. And if you thought this breakdown was wild, trust me, the next one is going to be even crazier.
Stay below whatever, and I never will. That's how I feel. I'm a true G. Yo, we gonna do that. For real, this East Carolina's all set.
They're having crisis management teams trying to figure out. Yo, they're fighting for their lives right now, man. Yo, who's a snitch? Who's not a snitch? It's a snitch off. This is great.
Don't forget about that story. When you said it out your own mouth, how you did with that trans. Pee Wee Roscoe. You know well not to mention me, boy. You know I ain't got no sense. I ain't got no damn screws in my head, boy. You remember we was at the Sky House? Me, you, and Thug was sitting in the car, and that damn swap past, and Thug tapped you and said, Pee Wee, what's up with that? And you told Thug how you stuck your clean up in it. Give me.
So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.